Know anything? Can you tell us a little bit about what will happen to Normal? Norma? I can't tell you too much, but only that she gets a little wild, a little wilder. Maybe a new love interest, I hear. Maybe. In 1969, Peggy Lipton met Quincy Jones on a sailboat in the Bahamas. What seemed like an innocent encounter was actually the beginning of Hollywood's most controversial love story. He was married. She was a rising star. But neither could resist what happened next. For 5 years they kept their connection secret while the world watched. When they finally married in 1974, it shocked everyone. But the real scandal wasn't their interracial relationship. It was what Quincy was hiding behind closed doors for 15 years. Peggy Lipton was born on August 30th, 1946 in New York City. On the surface, her family seemed perfect. They were wealthy, well-educated, and socially respected. Her father was a Harvard-trained corporate lawyer. Her mother was an artist whose family had once been an important part of Dublin's Jewish community. They lived in Lawrence, Nassau County, one of the most exclusive suburbs. But behind that polished image was a reality far darker than anyone outside the family could imagine. Peggy grew up surrounded by unspoken pain and generational trauma. Some of it came from her mother's side, whose relatives had fled Latvia as Jewish refugees. Her mother had a strong need for control and appearances. When Peggy was born, her name was Peggy Ann, but Rita decided to change it to Margaret Ann. Seemed like a small thing, but it reflected a larger truth about their household. In their social circle, image mattered more than honesty. They wanted to look respectable, even if that meant hiding what was really happening. Around the age of 7, Peggy developed a stutter, so severe she sometimes couldn't say her own name. It turned her from a lively child into someone quiet and withdrawn. School became a place of dread, as speaking in class could end in humiliation. Adults dismissed it as a phase, never linking it to the abuse she had suffered. In truth, it was a physical expression of the emotional damage she was carrying. Peggy would later say she became morbid and gloomy, sometimes imagining her own death and holding her breath to feel what that might be like. Acting would one day give her a way out, but at that time she was trapped inside her own silence. Her life began to change at 15 when her father helped her sign with Eileen Ford's famous modeling agency. It was an extraordinary break for a teenager who could barely say her own name without stuttering. She was tall, slender, with ash blonde hair and large brown eyes. Soon her face was appearing in fashion magazines across the country. On the outside, she was living a glamorous dream. On the inside, she was still wrestling with the same dark thoughts, using marijuana, cocaine, and diet pills to cope. The irony was sharp. She could model for the world to see, but she often lay awake at night, worrying about avoiding certain words on set because of her speech problem. In 1964, when she was 18, the family moved to Los Angeles. The move was sudden and transformative. Within months, Peggy had left home and moved to Topanga Canyon. She immersed herself in the counterculture, yoga, meditation, vegetarianism, and the music scene. She described the 1967 Terry Pop Festival as a spiritual awakening surrounded by people who looked and lived like she did. This was also when she experimented with peyote alongside British actor Terence Stamp. It was freedom, but it was also dangerous for someone still carrying deep wounds. That same year, she signed a contract with Universal Pictures. It was a major career step, though it came with a cruel twist. Acting required speaking, and her stutter often made her freeze or pretend she'd forgotten her lines. But when she read from a script, she could speak fluently. The studio placed her in whatever roles they saw fit, and she had no choice but to accept them. Her television debut came in 1965. at age 19 on the John Forsythe Show. Was a modest start, but it marked the moment Peggy began moving from a fashion model into an actress. Over the next few years she appeared in Bewitched, The Virginia, The Invaders, The Road West, The FBI, The Alfred Hitchcock Hour, and Mr. Novak. These weren't random jobs. Each one placed her in front of audiences who were loyal to their favorite shows and open to new faces. Her appearance on The Alfred Hitchcock Hour gave her a taste of psychological suspense, a genre that would later shape her work in Twin Peaks. In 1965 she even shared the screen with her brother, Robert Lipton, in an episode of Mr. Novak, a rare family moment in her early career. In 1968, Peggy moved into film, with her debut in The Western Blue. Was another family connection. Her brother Robert was also in the cast, playing a character named Antonio who met his end in a dramatic gunfight. The film starred Terrence Stamp, Joanna Pettit, and Carl Malden, giving Peggy the chance to work alongside established names. This was a different world from television, with a slower pace and a bigger scale. Working on Blue with her brother gave her both experience and a sense of comfort during a year when everything in her career was changing. That change came with the Mod Squad. When Peggy Lipton was cast as Julie Barnes in 1968, ABC gave television something new. Her character was a runaway from a prostitute mother's home, arrested for vagrancy and carrying the weight of a troubled past. The role felt real, because Peggy herself understood brokenness. As she once said, she didn't stutter when reading lines from a script. Playing someone else gave her freedom she never had in real life. Her delicate, vulnerable performance earned her 4 Emmy nominations in a row from 1969 to 1972, along with 4 Golden Globe nominations. In 1971, at just 24 years old, she won the Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Television Series Drama, one of the youngest ever to do so. This was during the height of the Vietnam War and civil rights movement, making her win more than a personal victory. Julie Barnes was a bridge between the establishment and rebellious youth, and Peggy's award signaled that television was ready to embrace counterculture themes. Her sudden fame also brought a style revolution. Peggy's long, straight, ash blonde hair, mini skirts, bell bottoms, and love beads became a national trend. Ironically, she had no interest in the spotlight and admitted fame made her paranoid. Still, by 1970, fashion magazines were showcasing the Julie Barnes look, and department stores were selling Mod Squad-inspired clothing lines. Hair salons across the country had women asking for the Peggy Lipton cut. Her style softened the image of hippie culture for suburban America, making it fashionable instead of threatening. Even before the show began, she had been named Deb Star of the Year by the Hollywood Makeup and Hair Stylists Guild in 1966, foreshadowing the influence she would later have. The Mod Squad itself broke television rules, premiering on September 24, 1968. It introduced the radical idea of using young hippie characters as undercover cops. They didn't carry guns and relied on street smarts instead of traditional police tactics. The show tackled issues no other network drama dared to touch at the time, including abortion, racism, PTSD among Vietnam veterans, domestic violence, and police brutality. It also featured one of the first interracial lead casts on primetime TV.